basketball.
Man, they got it going on right now. You know, they're
Jesus Christ.
attracting folks that like that style of play.
I
Simple.
saw Swain. I saw a graphic where it said they had 5 5 stars and I think 7 4 stars on their roster for next year.
Hey man, when you play a style of basketball that allows guys to penetrate and shoot shots when they're open, and Nate Oates gives them that green light. I mean, don't you want to play for that type of offense? I mean, look at Bruce Pearl. He's attracting him and Nate Oates. They're attracting guys in the transfer portal, left and right. So that's why the SEC has improved. I mean, it's one of the best in the country. Austin Price, VolQuest.com, joins us right now. His time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams. AP, good morning, man.
What's up, Jason?
What's up? Big week for the recruiting followers inside of the fan base, and big week for you and Ben McKee there at VolQuest.com as Tennessee is in a battle with Kentucky for 2 players this week. They're supposed to be making an announcement, man. Where does Tennessee kind of see themselves right now with the Wade twins?
Well, I think Tennessee's trying to close it out here, finish out the recruitment for those 2 kids, and get them in the boat at the end of the week. I know Kentucky feels confident. Tennessee's having a dialogue, and it's had dialogue with the twins the last 48 to 72 hours that leads me to believe that either Tennessee is in a good spot, or the kids still are trying to figure out their final decision, because they're not, you're not investing the kind of time that they have in Tennessee with, hour-long Zooms and, their mother spending on the, been on the phone for over an hour with Tennessee, if you've already decided Kentucky. So, I mean, I think that, this thing, is going to come down to the wire. And right now, I still think Tennessee would be kind of where I would lean with this. But I don't think it's done at this point.
Austin, let me ask you this, and kind of a 2-part question. If the Wade twins don't come to Tennessee, is it fair to blame Josh Heupel, or do you think that is still coaching transition? Because like you look at Ty Simpson, Sam Horn, you can blame, okay, new coaching staff, not enough time to develop a relationship. Maybe you can say the same about Jordan James as well. But with the Wade twins, do they fit that billing as well, or do you kind of look at Heupel as well?
Well, I think this one stings a lot more because, Ben, when you look at, how the recruitment have went down, I mean, Tennessee kind of ascended into an area where a lot of people felt like Tennessee was going to land Destin and Keaton just a few weeks ago, whereas, like, nobody said Tennessee was definitely getting Ty. Nobody said Tennessee was definitely getting Sam Horn or Jordan James. And let's face it, especially in Ty and Jordan's case, nobody's going to fault anybody for going to Alabama or Georgia, But it's if you lose 2 kids to Kentucky, and that's not a knock on Kentucky. I mean, I get that their football program is, over the last 10 years had just as much success as Tennessee's has. And it's won double-digit games. Tennessee's not done that, But at the same time, when you look historically speaking, it's not in the same league. So I think for fans, fans don't blink an eye if you lose a kid to Alabama or Georgia. Yeah, it hurts for fans. They want Tennessee to win those battles, but like it really stings if you lose one to Kentucky. And so this is something I know that the way this decision goes down will impact the class. If you get the 2 twins in the boat, things start to fall in line and then kind of materialize a little easier. If you don't, you have a much tougher road. And this decision on Friday will be big for Tennessee's class, especially in the short term.
Just kind of the second part to that question, when do you think it is going to be a fair time to judge Josh Heupel as a recruiter? Obviously, there's no commitments in the class just yet, and there's been some questions about it from fans, but I still think fans understand the situation in totality. So when do you think it will be kind of time to start judging Josh Heupel and this coaching staff as a recruiter?
Well, I think it's fair to say that there should be some worry if the Wade twins don't pick Tennessee, but at the same time, I don't think you can truly judge this staff or Josh Heupel until Tennessee can host recruits. I mean, look, man, there's only so much you can do on Zooms and phone calls, to be able to spend time with a coach face to face, see what they're all about. And I get it. I mean, coaches will put on their best, when they're recruiting a kid, but you can get a feel. I don't know how many times recruits have said to me, well, when I went to school X, like, I just didn't feel a good vibe. When I went to school Y, I didn't, this happened and it didn't make me feel important or whatever. Like, it's a lot easier to mask things on a Zoom call or on, on a phone call. So, I maintain that across college football, Ben, that over the next few years, next couple anyway, you're going to see a bunch of kids from the 21 and even the 22 class, so to speak, even though they're going to have the actual time with the staffs here, that get to school, spend some time and go, man, that guy wasn't the same guy that I got to know on Zoom. I mean, it's just different. So, I don't think you can truly judge them until, things open up and Tennessee can host official visits and Josh Heupel's able to sit in his office across from a prospect and spend time with him. But do I think the worry is fair? Sure, I think the worry is fair. But as far as truly judging them, I don't think you can do that until they, can get face to face and get in the same room with the kid. I will say this: for a guy that was labeled as a weak recruiter, and I've talked to multiple, reporters about this, and they've got the same vibe. For a guy that was known as a weak recruiter, that's anything but that, just from what I got from talking to so many different prospects, in-state prospects, out-of-state prospects, moms and dads. They are always talking to Josh Heupel. And, I mean, for a guy that, was known as a guy who, that's not his strong suit, he has put a ton of time into that since he got here. And that tells me that he understands the expectations and he understands what he has to do at this level. It's a different level. I don't know. If I go out and I play Centennial Golf Course in Oak Ridge and I shoot 75 and hit the ball a certain way, and then I go play Atlanta Athletic Club and hit the ball the exact same way, I'm not going to shoot 75 because the level of difficulty from one to the next is different. The level of difficulty in recruiting Central Florida versus Tennessee are two different things. And so I think he understands he's got to be a more, consistent and persistent recruiter. I think he's done that to this point, but I do think the fact that, he can't get face-to-face with kids, have them on campus, let them kind of see him, hear him, feel him, and feel the vibe that he's got, I think that's hurt Tennessee. It does help, though, Friday if the Wade twins were to pick the balls.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Brian John Murray, linebackers coach for Tennessee, coming from Michigan, but he had some time in Texas, and Tennessee looks like they're looking at a Texas transfer at the linebacker position. What can you tell us about Jawan Mitchell?
Well, the two sides have spoke. I said this in our podcast Saturday, coming out of the open practice, and Ben was there. For me, I just wonder, how real the traction is there. I know Tennessee would like to have traction, but what's Mitchell want? When you're looking at transfers, to me it just makes more sense if you've had success on the football field, especially like Mitchell has in leading Texas in tackles last year. Does it make sense to come to a place where you're going to have unlimited opportunity to play with Tennessee's lack of linebackers or lack of experience at linebackers? Or does it make more sense to go to a place, if you can get this location, get a place where you actually, can compete for a championship, win a championship. I think that's the thing that he's really kind of weighing and measuring right now is what's important to him, because I think a place like Tennessee gives him, an unlimited opportunity to play. But obviously Tennessee potentially may not be able to go to a bowl game if they self-impose or if the NCAA imposes before then.
Austin, do you think there is any separation at the quarterback position, or you think all three guys are kind of jumbled all together?
If you ask Josh Huepel, I would think he would tell you there's no separation. I do think it's fairly close. I mean, they rotate. I just look at a guy like Saturday. I mean, Brian Maurer, for as many steps forward as he takes with a play here or there that flashes, he also makes some critical mistakes, and that leads to him taking steps back.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Bailey has been solid from the people I talk to, but nothing earth-shattering. And then Hendon Hooker as well. I think Hooker, right now, if you were asking me to pick who I thought would start a game if Tennessee played tomorrow, I think it would be Hendon Hooker. And after that, I think I would probably go Harrison Bailey. I think Maurer is in the 3-hole. And I said this Saturday to Brent in our 2-minute drill of VolQuest. Like the fans that were there saw some flash early, then it kind of rained a little bit, and some fans left. I think they probably left there thinking Maurer, but then like the later you got into the practice, they did some more 11-on-11 work, and he sat in there and threw multiple picks, in the pocket, forcing balls down the field. And that's something that this offense can't have. I mean, you can't have the other bands playing too much. And so, in my mind, Tennessee is where they are. I won't be surprised if they look at the grad transfer route after spring to potentially bring in another quarterback, just because you have to sell out to fix this problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long 4 years since Josh Dobbs left. You've got to sell out. It doesn't matter if you got to take 3, 4, 5, 55 quarterbacks. And obviously I'm being a little bit, facetious there, but you have to do whatever it takes. If that means taking multiple guys, it's take multiple guys. You've got to fix that issue. If you're better at quarterback, you have a chance to be better on the field. If you're the same at quarterback, how can you expect any different?
Austin, you've spoken to some things about the open practice on Saturday, but when you were leaving Neyland, what were kind of your biggest positive takeaway and your biggest negative takeaway?
Well, I don't know if there really was a negative takeaway, Ben. And I think a lot of people would say, well, the defense. Yeah, but everybody kind of knew what the defense was going to be. And here's the other thing. You're missing Tyler Barron didn't go. Jaquan Blakely didn't go. Obviously Roman Harrison and Jeremy Banks are out. I mean, you're going to get more quality players there for the fall. The one thing that I don't know if it's a negative, to me it's just more validation to what we all knew, is even with some of those players back, Tennessee's going to be very thin at certain positions. And the wrong injury or two could determine wins and losses for Tennessee, because they're just not going to be they're not going to be a real deep football team. I think their ones across both sides of the ball are going to be fine. And even maybe into the twos, but I think they're going to be really thin in certain areas with the twos, and then the threes, I think, there's not going to be a whole lot there. So, I just think that it's more validation. The positives, I think the offensive line, did some good things. Now, you take everything with a grain of salt. But I think the offensive line maybe impressed me more than I thought, and then the running backs are where Tennessee. For all this talk about Tennessee going fast, as long as they can go fast and run the football, I think that might be a kind of a way to go this fall, because like Tennessee right now has a nice solid stable of running backs. They're not really experienced, but I think they are pretty talented. And so, like, if you can kind of find a few guys to get in the groove, then I think Tennessee's running game could really help the overall offense this fall.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Austin, how'd you hit him, man? Did you hit him long and straight when you went to go play golf down there in Georgia?
Georgia? What are you talking about?
I thought you played some golf in Georgia recently.
No.
Was it Florida? Did you play some golf recently?
I played golf yesterday.
I thought I saw a post from you where you was playing some golf.
You're talking about the pictures from last week at Augusta when I was posting pictures from when I played the Masters.
Okay.
I played the Masters. I played Augusta National.
You were in the
back
Masters?
in 2014. Yeah, that's me just poking my friend. It's the gift that keeps on giving, something I won't ever apologize for. And that is the tradition, unlike any other. When every year in early April, I can pull out photographs and poke and prod and videos of me hitting the ball at 12 and 16 and have a good time. But
gotcha.
no, I've not really been playing. I played yesterday. I played last week and I played yesterday. I hit it pretty good last week and I hit it terrible yesterday. So that kind of is a good summary of my golf game, up and down.
What about when you played at Augusta in 2014? How did you do on those holes? Did you go Xander Schauffele on any of them?
No, I did not. I was terrible the first the first 4 holes. I was 7 over the first 4 holes, and then I played the last 14 3 over. So I shot 82. I played pretty good on the memorable part of the golf course.
Austin, let me ask you this. Jump back to Tennessee football, and I don't know.
Let's keep talking golf, Jason. This is way more fun to talk about my golf rounds.
Hey man, let's
talk about your golf rounds, Jason.
I haven't played golf in probably 4 years or so.
But he can still give you a great tip on your swing.
Oh yeah, I can let you know what it's about, man. Austin, it's all in the hips. I got the best advice ever.
Just like cornerback.
It's all in the hips, man. Just like Dak Prescott, it's all in the hips. No, man, I haven't had a chance to play or desire to try to find time to go play golf in a very, very long time. So I don't know if people want to hear about my golf game, and I don't know if people want to hear about your golf game either, man.
They don't.
People want to know about Tennessee.
Y'all are asking about it.
Yeah, people want to know about Tennessee, and people want to know if, and we've seen this before with Coach Former. I forgot other coaches. I'm sure Butch has done this before. He likes gimmicks and things like that. Bar chip dip of the week, bar chip dip player of the week, and things like that. But let's say Huepel, I don't know if he's going to do this or not with awards, spring awards. But right now, who would you give the MVP of the spring to right now?
Oh, geez, Jason, why don't you give me some prep?
What? What's wrong, man?
Oh.
Somebody standing out? Who's having the best spring? MVP of the spring?
Well, I would have said Jabari Small, but since he missed the scrimmage last Thursday and then missed Saturday's practice, I won't go that route. That's a really good question. Because I don't think you can really give out an MVP of the spring.
Okay.
There are some guys that have flashed, but I don't think there's any really consistent guy. That you could think of. Small would have been it for me, but again, he's missed the last 2 practices. And I guess you could still give it to him. He can't control if he missed practices because, as we all know, there is that thing that, people get too close to a certain situation, they have to miss time.
Are we still doing
and
that?
They did nothing wrong. I think that I guess I would go Jabari Small because that's basically he missed practices and it wasn't his fault.
See, that wasn't that bad, Austin. It's like taking some medicine for the first time as a kid, man. You think it's terrible and it's not that bad.
I'm a terrible medicine taker.
No, it wasn't that bad, man.
When I was a kid, I always needed like the Sprite or water to wash it down right behind. I'm a terrible pill taker. If I ever really got sick and was in any kind of hospital and had to take legitimate pills, I would be in real trouble.
That's probably a good thing, Austin. It's probably a good thing, man. It's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing you didn't play football and get hurt because that's all you would be taking is pills and stuff like that to be able to play.
Do you take a lot of pills, Jason?
Back in the day, to be able to play. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. You do what it takes to play. But yeah, absolutely had to take the Toradols and the hydrocodones and all that stuff, man. Ugh, didn't like it at all. Did not like it. What vibe did you get? It's good to see an open practice. I remember when Butch did it, man. It was electric. Obviously, the conditions are a little bit different right now. It was a good time to have recruits in town. But what was the vibe, man, of open practice, in your opinion?
I thought it was good. I think that there's just the positivity that this staff's trying to instill into the players. It's just something they need. And we've talked about that a lot this spring, just kind of changing the mindset. And so, I thought it was good. I did think that some of it, like, for me, I mean, again, like, it's not a knock. I mean, like, trying to understand how the practice flow went was different. It was just different compared to other staffs I've seen, but I'm sure there was nothing wrong with it. It's just trying to understand, like, why they were doing what they were doing and when they were doing it.
Mm-hmm. Last question, Austin. A lot of running backs. A lot of guys that can do different things. When you see a guy that's 6'5", 230 pounds, it's easy to say, oh, you just put him in tight end, man, play H-back. Because, typically, historically, you don't see a running back 6'5". But, man, watching, you're like, wait, man, this guy can play some running back, man. There's a little bit of Derrick Henry in what we're seeing here. Who do you see possibly making a transition to another position, maybe at linebacker or somewhere else? The old school Tennessee way, man, is taking a running back and taking him and putting him on defense and putting him in at linebacker. And there's a lot of guys that say they ain't moving. A lot of coaches saying that guys are not moving because you don't want to run anybody off with the transfer portal. And I understand that you want guys to play where they want to play and try to win that battle and get playing time. But at some point, man, the writing's going to be on the wall, and you're going to have to move guys if guys want to play. But D. Beckwith, man, I mean, he looks pretty good for his size at running back. Who stays? Who gets moved, in your opinion?
Well, to me, that's the interesting dynamic, Jason, because with the modern day transfer portal, kids go, they don't want to move, man. They just go bounce to the portal. So, I mean, like, you better make sure that these kids are embracing the move to a new position, or I think that you could see a lot of that happen. So, if you're asking me if everybody's on board, to me, Lennox Whitehead makes the most sense. I mean, like, he's never really gotten fully healthy here. He had that Liz Frank injury in high school, and he just makes the most sense. Like, Whitehead, played a lot of linebacker in high school, also played running back for Athens Academy, a small school down there in Athens, Georgia. T. Hodge could play linebacker, but, he's done a really solid job this spring at running back, and that's really what he's always played. Like, again, do I think he could play it? Yes, but would it be a real process to get him in a position where he could help you? 100%. Like, I think it would be more natural for Whitehead. And then D. Beckwith, you can't watch him and not think that he can help this team in some way. He is and I know Ben's a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think that the kid's a special talent, and I think it's all about finding the right fit for him. The last staff, tight end, receiver, then they moved him to running back, and had the last staff been there long enough, he probably would have saw the defensive side of the ball at some point too. That's Beckwith's in a position, I think, where the more he flashes in practice, the more he's going to be able to show he can do it. And they need a bigger back, and I think both he and T. Hodge could be that. But you know what? Having seen Tyon Evans just in pads walking around Saturday, it's hard not to think he can't help you as a bigger back. He's like a bowling ball, and then his lower half is really impressive. So, again, that's why I go back to Tennessee's running backs. They've got a lot of depth there. You think about Jalen Wright and the flash he's shown. Jabari Small, you know how much he's done because the staff continues to rave about him. Beckwith flashes. Tyon Evans hadn't even been back yet since he got hurt with the ankle early in fall camp, spring camp. You know, I mean, and then again, T. Hodge has done a really solid job this spring. Tennessee's got a lot of running backs, and you know, you would think that somebody's going to move. And again, who's the one that's not really practiced and been able to help? Is Leonard Whitehead, and he just makes the most sense.
Austin, 2 quick follow-ups on what you just discussed about the running backs. With Leonard Whitehead, does he not seem kind of small to you to play linebacker? I kind of grasped that impression when I was kind of watching him in practice recently and during the open practice. He looked small to me. Like when Banks was playing running back as a freshman, like he looked like a linebacker. To me, Leonard Whitehead, and maybe I need a better look at him, he doesn't look like a linebacker to me.
Unless he's dropped a bunch of weight, you know, he was always on the big side. Now, maybe because of, you know, the foot stuff, I honestly haven't paid a ton of attention to his weight, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, see, I look at Jeremy Banks, and, like, Jeremy Banks has lost a bunch of weight. Like, you watch him out there without pads on, and he looks small, like just out there warming up and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible. But, again, you can get undersized backers, like, as long as you have the right mentality. You know, so, I mean, like, again, I don't think there's any kind of, like, easy fix. It's just more about getting a quality body on that side of the ball that potentially could help you. Tennessee's linebacking situation is not ideal, which is why, you know, if they could get Juwan Mitchell, it makes a ton of sense.
And then do you know if D. Beckwith can catch, like if he were to play tight end or receiver for that position? I know it's simple to say, yeah, you can catch a football. He plays college football. But, like, in terms of a receiver being able to have good hands or a tight end having good hands, do you know whether he can catch the football?
From talking to his high school coach, talking to coaches on the last staff when he was running, you know, at those positions, yes. They all felt like he could play that position and would be able to catch the ball just fine.
All right, Austin, man, we've held you hostage long enough here on the show, man. And we appreciate the time, my friend. Always a good time, man, chopping it up with you. So good stuff as always, Austin, man. Stay out of trouble, man. Can you do that?
I always stay out of trouble, Jason. We made it through the whole segment today without my dog barking. Most of that because I went outside on my back porch.
He barked once.
But no, that's my neighbor's German Shepherd. So there's 2 of them, and if anybody walks by, I'm surprised they hadn't went bananas. That just tells me nobody's walked by the front of my house, because anytime they like have their heads peering around the corner off the deck of my neighbor's house, and they go losing it if somebody walks by.
No, we're good. We just heard the German Shepherd in the background just a little bit, so we good, man. We good. It's part of life, man. I think the last 12 months we've learned to kind of just let things go. I mean, hey, you don't have to wear pants on a Zoom call. So, I mean, hey, man, it's all good if you got some dogs barking in the background. It's all good, man. But I want you to wear pants, though, when you're talking to us. Okay?
You got it.
All right, awesome, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, buddy.
See you.
See you.
Because I don't want to know if Austin's lower half is impressive or not.
I don't know why you're making fun of Austin. We talked about Tyon Evans having a big butt yesterday.
But we didn't say his lower half was impressive.
The way he said it sounds better.
I guess.
It does.
Nah, Austin's right, man. I mean, those guys with the big trunks, man. Talking explosion, power. Hard to bring those guys down with just a little arm tackle. So these are physical attributes that NFL scouts look at and college evaluators look at. It's important. I mean, it may sound funny, but it's true. It's 100% true. Somebody got to move to linebacker. Not everybody can play running back.
Today,
it's only one ball.
Today we will be in attendance at practice. I'm gonna get a good look at Leonard Whitehead. I'm gonna be